Well, enough about those losers. They're 0-1. South Carolina has not lost a game yet. And I'll ask Pat DiMarco as we bring him in right now. Pat, if you had a chance, Pat, you get your chance today. DJ U he doesn't have the it factor. He's played 4 years of college football, hasn't turned into a superstar, but he has played 4 years of college football. He can start for you tomorrow, or you can start Lenora Sellers. Who are you starting?
I mean, I'm going with Lenora Sellers, just the upside in general and the growth that's there. It's pretty funny because I bet DJ's probably made more money in his 4 years of college football than I made in my 10-year career. Which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Well,
I actually have some scoop on that. So, and I got this on. I know this is like factual. So 800,000 was his number, right? Coming out of the portal from Oregon State. Everybody left Oregon State because of the conference, and Jonathan Smith left or whatever. So recruiting happened, and Florida State's like, yeah, 800, that's cool, whatever, if you want to come. And he called around, and teams started dropping him, like doors were closing. FSU was the last team in on him, and they still paid the 800,000. He could have gotten him for free, So
yeah.
I'd have probably leaned more towards free, Pat. That's just me.
Yeah, if it's free, it's for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very average, and that showed.
I will say when what was the year that he played as a freshman in 2020,
the pandemic year,
20 in the bowl game, like he looked. Who was the quarterback during that time?
It was Trevor when he got hurt.
Yes,
Trevor
and DJ came in and like showed mobility. They were using him in the run game. Like I was like, this guy's going to be a problem. And then now we see what we got, and he's not a problem anymore.
I think sometimes just standing there throwing the ball, it looks like Dante Culpepper sometimes when you just like look at him. Yeah, you kind of start to see the production through the years. And look, people don't understand this too. Like Oregon State, not exactly playing like the defenses we have in the South. And I'll include Georgia Tech in that because they're very fast and athletic. The defenses in the Pac-12 outside of Oregon and Utah, they're not exactly stout, and so it's not a surprise he did well out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, he also lost. I mean, they lost 2 stud receivers that you're going to be seeing on Sunday. Keon Coleman, I believe, will immediately become. Don't want to give tips away because JC's in my fantasy football league. I think he'll become Josh Allen's number 1 target from Jump Street. Yeah. It was a first-round pick. He was between him and Leggett. I would have personally taken Leggett, but so when I like watching the receivers too. I didn't see a ton of separation. This is not to excuse DJ U because I think he is what we thought he was. He's kind of an average quarterback who flashed a little bit in a league that doesn't play great defense, but they lost a ton on both sides of the ball. So to think that they were just not going to skip a beat and be a top 10 team in 2024 was pretty ambitious. And that was based on what? All the people in the portal, which helped put together a number of things, including that D line, which did not show up on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Pat, let's get to Carolina football. They open for, this Saturday, with Old Dominion. We were talking to John earlier. They're set to start Josiah Thompson at left tackle. He is a true freshman. I think this is the most important young man in the program. If you're going to start a true freshman at left tackle, he better be dang good. You don't see that here very often. I think the last time it happened was Travell back in the late 90s. And so he's going to protect the backside of Lenora Sellers, and it'll be go time. So now that it's game week, we can really maybe start to talk some nuts and bolts, Pat, as far as what this offense is at least going to try to establish itself as when they get out there week 1.
Yeah, I mean, from watching Josiah's tape in high school, and I remember him coming to a couple camps and us evaluating the camps. He has incredible athletic ability. He's put on the size, strength, and looks like an SEC offensive lineman now. He looked like a high school offensive lineman prior, but I'm excited to watch him. He's an extremely talented kid, and I think building that young nucleus on the offensive line, we did some of that last year, playing 2 freshmen last year. Beamer went and put in his press conference the other week that we're going to be playing 2 to 3 young guys on a normal basis here coming up. So I mean, and like I've said prior, with Lenoris as like he's a sophomore, but he's really a freshman when it comes to playing time. Like there's gonna be some growing pains, but I think the upside in what you get with the athletic ability, size, stature, he's a really smart kid. I think he's going to make good decisions. I think Dow Loggins has groomed him well enough over the last year and a half that he's going to make good decisions with the football. And I mean, obviously coming out and starting against an inferior opponent in ODU, come out, get hot, get confident, and that will continue to lead to growth and development. Because we all know, like the first 3 to 4 games of any season, you have no clue what you're going to get. You've been tackling each other, blocking each other. So fundamentals, day one install stuff, that's what wins these types of games. And I mean, I was on staff there for almost 2 years. Like that is a thing that Shane Beamer will die on a hill about. Hey, we're going to be really good at the fundamentals. We're going to be really good at doing the easy stuff, keep ourselves from losing, and then we're going to go continue to grow on that.
Speaking about offense here specifically, clearly understand that when you get out of week 1 and jumping into week 2, week 3, you generally get a lot of things fixed. You grow a lot. I get that. But when they go out there this week, how do you yourself, and maybe how should fans gauge the type of progress that this offense has made in the offseason?
I think you're going to look at explosive plays. You're going to look at how we can run the ball and how we can protect the quarterback. Those were 2 issues last year that honestly hindered us a little bit. So I think those are the 3 things. I mean, that and just the doubt of the receiving corps to see if these guys can play at this level and coming out against ODU. And like I said, getting confident, getting hot early will catapult us into Kentucky, which is a humongous game, week 2 on the schedule. So it's it's not, this isn't a game like I wouldn't say this isn't, you're not playing South Carolina State or some team that you usually go out there and beat by 40. Like this is this is a tester that I think they beat Virginia Tech last year or 2 years ago. So this isn't a pushover ball club. We got to go out, but you have an SEC offensive defensive line. You have 2 years ago, you had the leading rusher in the SEC. That's like, in my opinion, you go ride your horses, you out-athleticize them on the edge, and you just push them around. Like I think that's the recipe for week 1 here.
Yeah, to your point, Coach Ricky Rain has really been ramping up this game for his team. He has been pumping in very, 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 very loud crowd noise over the last few days as they're preparing for it, and he has gone on to compliment the Gamecock environment as he used to be at Vanderbilt on staff up there. He went on to say it's one of the best atmospheres in college football. But his team is no, as you pointed out, this isn't going to be foreign to them. They go to Virginia Tech. They go places and go play games. They were in Blacksburg last year. So they'll be excited to come in and try to play well. Also, we will begin a historical watch on Saturday. Jason Henderson, the linebacker for Old Dominion, 424 career tackles. He's 122 shy of the national record set by Carlton Marshall out of Troy just 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I remember we played against him. He was a 5'8" backer that was just all over the place.
Yeah, did they pad his stats too? Because there's rumors that ODU's padding the stats of this kid. Have you seen this?
No, I mean the kid from Troy was good. I mean, he was like I said, 5'8", 225 pounds, just a downhill thumper, but could also he could play in space too. I mean, if he was 6'2", he'd be on the NFL draft boards.
Yeah, well, so would I, but I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that. All right, Pat. The Rocket Sanders excitement, man. What are you expecting to see out of this kid on Saturday?
I mean, I expect him to just be Rocket Sanders. Like he doesn't have to go out there and be anything. I think that's a big piece to this. And I actually was texting with Lenoris 2 weeks ago, and they announced him to have the job, and I was like, dude, you've earned this. You've busted your tail for the last year and a half. Like, you're ready. Like, go out there, have fun. Don't do anything. Don't try to have any outer body experiences out there. Like, that's the recipe for disaster. Just go out there and do what you do. Have fun, play free. And I think, I mean, everything I've been hearing is that Rocket's healthy. Rocket's lost a little bit. I think he played too heavy last year. You're saying that played him at like 245. So he's down some weight and he feels a lot better, a lot stronger. So I expect him just to go out there and be efficient, stay ahead of the chains. Obviously, like I've been saying all along, having Lenoris as another piece of the run game is going to soften up defenses and should hopefully get us an extra gap or two in there for Rocket to hit and see the Rocket take off.
So they've got, I don't know, what do you think, JC? 7, 8 wide receivers or so that'll rotate through on Saturday, I would imagine. But with all that said, how important is Josh Simon to Lenore Sellers in this offense?
I mean, he's the closest guy to the quarterback from a receiving standpoint, less the running back. So just to have a good safety valve as a young quarterback, like I said, playing within yourself, taking, 2 6-yard gains is 12 yards, and that's a first down. So being able to check it down and find the easy target, I mean, I see featuring him running a lot of basics, a lot of sticks, trying to get him the ball early. He's played a bunch of football. He's been efficient, and he's a smart football player. So I think he's going to be that safety valve for Lenoris, while you also have some threats outside to go hit some deep shots. So hopefully, I mean, I expect Josh and Rocket, two very experienced guys, to come in and show their experience here week 1 and continue to grow off that, and hopefully rally some of the younger guys who haven't played as much SEC ball to kind of upplay their level.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, JC.
Oh, no, I was just say, talk a little bit about what in your opinion, Simon after the catch. I thought after the catch, there was a big difference last year with him and maybe the other tight ends. I think he can break tackles. Seems to be a tough guy. You were obviously a tough guy yourself. So tell us how do you kind of see that blue collar part of his game and what he can do after he catches it?
Yeah, hopefully he's a lot better than me after the catch. I think I averaged like 2 yards after contact. I just had steady hands. No, but I mean, he's a big, strong, athletic. I mean, he was at Western Carolina or Western Kentucky, right? That's where he transferred from.
Yeah.
His tape there, I mean, he jumped over a couple guys, made guys miss. He was a linear threat. So you're going to see a little bit of everything, but he's 6'4", 6'5", 250. And I don't think ODU plays that many teams that have tight ends of that stature that can run 4.5, 4.6 like he can.
So something that's come up a lot is percentages on offense, like run percentage versus pass percentage and all. And it's just not as simple as people make it out to be. Oh, they should be 55-45. Oh, no. They should be 60-40. Oh, no, 50-50. What does all of that mean to you, and what is best for South Carolina?
It means a lot of just the data, guys. I mean, data. But at the end of the day, you have to play to your strengths. And at the end of the day, if you're a team that can't block the run, then you probably shouldn't run the ball. If you're a team that can't protect the quarterback and your offensive line plays better going downhill, then let's do what we're good at. And I think that's the recipe that you look for. And you kind of get experimental. Teams get experimental with that, and you find out who your true identity is week 4, week 5, after you have a couple of cracks at it. But, yeah, I mean, if you go into a season and say, hey, we're a 50-50 team, we have to hit these margins, and you're like, well, you guys haven't played yet. So how do you know what you are without having played the game? So, I mean, I think there's all these Twitter GMs and this and that on all these things who've never played the game at a high level, who sit there and try to dissect it. But at the end of the day, you have to play to your players' strengths. And I mean, I think the strength of the South Carolina offense is going to be running the ball, is going to be being efficient on first down, and then kind of opening up the second level because of that. But we need to make it a point to go and instill the fear that we're going to be able to run the ball for 4 yards against you, regardless if you have 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the box. We're going to get downhill at you.
I mentioned that earlier. I mean, that's when Carolina football is at its best. It traditionally has been. If they
Mike
can
Davis, Marcus Lattimore, yeah. When you are efficient, I mean, Kevin Harris, some of those guys, just in the last 2 or 3 years, when you can be efficient running the ball, it opens up everything. I mean, Zeb Nolan played quarterback. Jason Brown was a relatively successful quarterback here. I mean, you had Z White, you had Kevin Harris, you had Marshawn Lloyd. Like, being efficient on the ground makes it a heck of a lot better for the guy that all 11 guys on the defense are staring at when the ball snaps.
Well, it allows you to throw it so efficiently as well. I think that's one of the things that gets lost in Georgia Bulldog football. We've talked about this earlier today, and the fact that, you know, Georgia historically, if it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, they'll walk up to the line of scrimmage and literally tell you, hey, just kind of a heads up here, we're going to run the football down your throat. There's nothing you can do about it. But then also they'll play action or they'll do something silly and they'll throw the ball downfield. But that's all because the defense is just respects their run game. And whatever Carolina's version of that has always been what's been when they've had their most successful seasons.
Yeah, be kind of diving into that. I've seen all the stuff that Carson Beck is the number 1 draft pick next year in the class. I'm sitting there and I'm like, did he have that killer? I mean, I know he had a good year last year. What did he throw? 20-something touchdowns, 4 or 5 picks, like really good numbers. But it's pretty easy to play quarterback when you can shove the ball up a defense's you-know-what, and then your defense only gives up less than 10 points a game. So, like, winning is pretty easy when you can do that and you're able to protect your quarterback. So, not saying he's not talented. Obviously, he's very talented. But I would be interested to see what he would be like if he has to play 5 or 6 games this year and he has to throw it 40 times. And they don't run for 150 yards, 160 yards every game. That's a whole different beast. And when you get to the NFL, like, that usually happens. Most, like, if you run the ball for over 100 yards in a ball game, that's a pretty good, efficient day.
Speaking of 150, do you know what Shane Beamer's record is when the Gamecocks run for 150?
Oh, what, he's 20-18 in through 3 years. I would imagine it's probably 15-5 or something along the lines of that.
Well, I wish they would have run for 150 15 times, but it is 8-2, so they win 80% of the games. But 15-3, to your point, when they're over 100, just 100 fast.
I would say that's pretty universal, though. I mean, if you're dominating on the ground, you're going to win more than you're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
That's why you got to have your fullback.
But 100 yards.
That's right. That's right.
I was
going to say your yards after catch, Pat. That's not your fault because the goal line was usually only about 2 yards away after you caught the ball.
Kentucky and Clemson didn't want anything to do with Pat DiMarco. I promise you. No.
After hearing one of the players call Maurice Brown an animal, I would probably play him at fullback. I think that if you're going to have a fullback this year, that's your guy. But but this 100 yards though is not something that's crazy. I mean, 200 is a big number in college football. 100, I mean, just that little bit, which tells me, you got to it keeps defenses honest, and I think
it's not as prevalent as it was 15 years ago, where 100 yards is like, that's what you should be doing, because the way the offenses are now with the spread, and unfortunately, not as many fullbacks and 2 tights as we used to have, Pat. It's a lot more 11 personnel. Let's go ahead and set up, and the passing game, little bubble screens, which we saw
extension of the run game,
extension of a run game, but that goes down as a pass, right? So like 100 yards true ground game plus 100, because they take into account the losses on plays. That's not nearly as prevalent as it used to be. So if you let's fast forward to week 2. We'll talk more about Old Dominion. If you're going to, and I have this whole thing going, I've done the math. Carolina gets to a bowl game, that's 13 games. 1,000 divided by 13 is 77. To me, Rocket Sanders can average 77, so I'm looking for a 1,000-yard season at a Rocket Sanders. That's not to say that the other backs are chopped liver, but that's your bell cow. I don't think that's too much to ask to get 1K at a Rocket Sanders. If you could tell me that Carolina, Rocket, and the supporting cast get over 100 rushing yards, I feel really good about the outcome if that happens. But that's easier said than done.
I think it's big in a sense that you have to commit to the run. And I remember when I was playing in Atlanta, Devontae Freeman used to he's a little firewall. That dude wants to fight everybody every second of every game because he's just so competitive and he hates so I remember talking to him after the first or second drive. He's like, man, I haven't popped one yet. And it's like, yeah, 2, 3, that's good, buddy. The way you get to 100 is 2, 3, 3, 3, 29, 6, 3, 1, 2, 26. Like you pop 2 or 3 explosive plays in the run game, and that's how this number picks up quick. But saying all that, you have to commit to it. This has to be something that you want to do. It has to be a part of your DNA. And I mean, having a Rocket Sanders, it needs to be a part of our DNA, whether it's tight zone, mid zone, wide zone, duo, whatever the scheme is we need to have, we need our bread and butter to be our bread and butter. We need to be able to line up and say it's 3rd and 2. Like, go ahead, put 8 guys in the box, 9 guys in the box. We're going to convert here. And I think, with Lonnie and Sean Elliott and Dow Loggins and just the mindset of these guys, I think that's going to be more of our MO this year. Because you got to think you can also get in these same exact sets and make guys commit to it. And then you have a 245 or 250 pound quarterback pulling it out the backside, running one-on-one with a corner. So I like those chances as well.
JC might be onto something, by the way, with that Mo Brown. That's a nice little thought there, Pat. Maybe.
Yeah, he didn't play much last year. He played a decent amount on special teams and a little bit on offense, but I mean, he
as
was
a freshman. He's a great story. He's a great story.
A military kid, right? Went to military academy and came in. And I remember him in the weight room. Like he was tough. He was hard. He was rugged. I'm excited to watch him put his hand in the dirt and scoop out a 5 technique and kick out an outside linebacker. That's the type of stuff that gets me excited, guys.
Heck yeah, man.
You had your fair share of games like week 1, where you're a 3 touchdown favorite, and everybody's already talking about the 2 games that loom large ahead of that in weeks 2 and 3. So take us in the locker room during your time. How do you maintain 100% effort, 100% focus? I'd like to think that's a little bit easier in week 1. You've had all offseason to make sure you're geared up to play, but we see teams get bit. Yeah. In fact, Old Dominion has bitten people like Virginia Tech in the past before. So what's the mindset, and how do you keep everybody making sure that don't be focused on the point spread or that this is a Sun Belt team, but that this is an actual game that we can lose if we don't play well?
Well, I think the beauty in this in this matchup is we're coming off missing a bowl game last year. So this is a pissed off football team. The head coach is pissed off they didn't make a bowl game last year, and rightfully so. So you got a hungry team that wants to prove people wrong. I mean, all offseason, what they've been hearing. South Carolina, let's see how they do without Spencer Rattler. Hey, they lost these guys in the portal. They're hearing all this negative connotation. I think it's putting a little chip on their shoulder. And from a guy who's a 2-star undrafted, having a chip on your shoulder is actually pretty darn good. Yeah. So I think this team is going to come out and play with an attitude and an effort that's going to be unmatched that you don't see in many week 1s against an inferior opponent. I think, if I'm them, I'm coming out and I'm imposing my will, and I'm making a statement to the rest of college football in the SEC that if you guys were sleeping on us, you better wake up.
Yeah, I not to kind of double down on that point. I know we got to get you out of here, so we'll get you out of here in just a second. Like after Saturday, because we won't talk to you again until next week when we bring back our talking ball. We got to get you a telestrator. But
at least show me that. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we got some stuff working here. Mad Dog's doing magic. It's going to be fun. But so what will people be talking about with this football team? Like, man, this is that right there is impressive. That version of South Carolina is impressive.
I think it's going to be the versatility. I think it's going to be not just one human. It's not going to be Spencer Rattler throwing the ball 40 times and woeing us with his arm talent. Like we're seeing it in these NFL preseason games. The cat can play. The cat can throw the ball. But I think you're going to see, a blend of in the run game. You're going to see a blend of Rocket, some of these younger backs. You're going to see Lenoris probably have 8 to 12 carries. but you're also going to see us spit it on the edge. I mean, we saw last year, Dow likes to run these RPOs and spit it out wide and let it, we had Amari Brown last year who had a bunch of yards after contact out on the edge. We're going to see a lot of that too. I'll tell you what would really, really excite me if Nick Harbor caught like a 60-yard touchdown pass and really woke up the rest of college football, because having a big, athletic, strong, fast threat like that downfield is just going to soften up defenses if we can get them going early.
Final quick thoughts on what we saw this weekend, the 2-minute timeout, helmet comms. You're used to that. You played in the NFL for over a decade. What'd you think about it in college football?
I'm not going to lie to you. I was on a Little League baseball field all weekend. I was tracking the score via my phone, but I did not catch the game. I saw the outcome, and I was surprised by the outcome, but I was not I did not watch the game intently. Now that you bring that up, I need to go and check the indie game. I heard it was very entertaining.
Yeah, I guess. Georgia Tech, they've got the personality of their head coach. They might have something to say in the ACC this year.
Is their head coach a fullback, former fullback? Is that
offensive lineman? Offensive lineman.
He's a guard. I mean, a fullback's essentially a guard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Pat, we'll let you run on that note. Wednesday morning, early. The third version of Tailgate Talks will be released. Of course, you can listen to it on the Chief Sports app. You can watch it at GamecocksPlus.com. You and Stephen will be interviewing whom?
Shane Beamer, doing a little season preview. We're going to reminisce on our time and some stories that we had during his time here as a special teams coordinator, recruiting coordinator, defensive backs coach. Why he loves this place so much, why he wanted this job. We're going to talk, some preview. We talk a little golf too. More my speed right now. It's going to be a good episode, and then we're gearing up. Steven's coming up for the game. We're going to knock, I think, 3 episodes out this weekend. So it's going to be a big week.
Well, I'll see you Saturday. I still have your picture from the longest drive competition, so I'll bring it to you Saturday.
There we go. I think it would look great in my office.
Well, I was going to hang it in mine and tell everybody that I won, but I didn't think that was fair because you were out driving me by over 100 yards. So
hey, we brought the title home. It was a team effort.
Pat, we'll see you in a few days, man. Happy game week. Thanks as always.